What if tonight is not just another ordinary evening, but the beginning of a completely different chapter in your life? Picture yourself standing in front of a quiet doorway. Nothing about it looks extraordinary. No bright lights, no dramatic signs, no grand announcement. And yet, beyond that doorway exists a version of life that feels deeply aligned with who you truly are. A reality filled with the things your heart has silently desired for years. A life that feels so personal, so accurate to your deepest longings, that part of you almost hesitates to believe it could be real. And the remarkable thing is this: you are not far away from that doorway. You are not struggling to reach it someday in the distant future. You are already standing before it now. Your hand is already resting on the frame. The shift you have been waiting for is not somewhere outside of you. It begins within you at this very moment.
So thoughtful. You may ask yourself how simple words could possibly carry that kind of power. But the truth is, the words themselves are not the doorway. You are. These words are only arriving at the precise moment your mind and spirit are ready to remember something that has always existed inside you. The ability to completely transform your reality has never been absent. It has been quietly waiting beneath your doubts, beneath your conditioning, beneath the stories you accepted about yourself and life. Every extraordinary transformation humanity has ever witnessed started the exact same way. Every breakthrough, every recovery, every dream turned into reality first existed as a single thought held with conviction. Before something becomes visible in the world, it begins as an inner experience. Someone believed in a possibility strongly enough, emotionally enough, consistently enough, that reality itself eventually rearranged to reflect that belief. This is not motivational language. It is not fantasy or blind optimism. It is the deeper principle through which human experience unfolds. Reality responds to consciousness. The outer world organizes itself around the inner assumptions you carry most consistently. Look carefully at your own life. The relationships you experience, the opportunities you attract, the emotional tone of your days, even the repeated patterns you encounter are not random events disconnected from you. They are reflections. They mirror back the beliefs, expectations, and emotional states you have accepted as true about yourself and your world. A mirror does not argue with what stands before it. It does not decide to distort or improve the image. It simply reflects whatever is placed in front of it with precision. Your life behaves the same way. The circumstances surrounding you are continuously reflecting your dominant inner state. They reveal the beliefs you return to most often, the assumptions you emotionally live from, and the identity you have unconsciously accepted as your own. Now pause and truly consider the implications of this. If your external world is reflecting your internal world, then changing your life cannot begin primarily with force, struggle, or manipulation of circumstances. Real change begins by transforming the inner self that stands before the mirror. The moment your assumptions shift at a genuine level, the reflection must eventually shift as well. It is not a matter of chance, it is law. This truth has appeared throughout history in countless forms. Mystics, philosophers, spiritual teachers, and visionaries have all pointed toward the same principle using different language. Though cultures changed and symbols evolved, the message remained consistent. The unseen creates the seen. Consciousness shapes experience. The inner world gives birth to the outer world. You were never meant to see yourself as powerless before circumstances. You were never designed to live as someone reacting helplessly to life. You are participating in the creation of your experience every single moment through the thoughts you nurture, the feelings you sustain, and the assumptions you repeatedly accept as true. And this creation is happening whether you are aware of it or not. Most people unconsciously create by dwelling in fear, limitation, doubt, and old emotional patterns. Then they look at the results appearing in their lives and believe those results are fixed reality. But the outer condition is only the echo. The true cause exists within consciousness itself. The moment you begin changing your inner identity, your life begins changing with it. If you assume you are unworthy, life reflects rejection. If you assume opportunities are scarce, struggle continues appearing. If you believe love is unstable, relationships mirror instability. But when you begin to occupy a new inner state, everything starts reorganizing around that shift. When you genuinely accept that you are worthy, supported, capable, loved, abundant, and aligned with possibility, reality slowly begins confirming that assumption back to you. The process may not always appear immediate because the outer world often reflects past beliefs for a time. But persistence in a new state eventually dissolves old patterns. Reality cannot permanently contradict the assumptions you consistently hold with emotional conviction. This is why imagination matters so deeply. Imagination is not escapism, it is the creative center of your life. Everything first exists internally before it appears externally. The life you desire must first become emotionally real within you before it can fully materialize around you. That means the future you want is not created by waiting for permission from circumstances. It is created by becoming internally aligned with that future now. You do not wait for confidence before embodying confidence. You do not wait for love before feeling loved. You do not wait for success before identifying as capable. You begin within, and life responds afterward. Neville Mind Secrets teaches this clearly. The state you consistently occupy becomes the reality you experience. Your assumptions are not harmless thoughts floating through the mind. They are instructions given to life itself. So tonight, understand this deeply. You are not standing outside the doorway of transformation, hoping someone opens it for you. You are the one holding the key. You are the one deciding which identity to step into. And the moment you truly change the story within yourself, the world around you begins shifting in ways that once seemed impossible. The power you have searched for externally has been within you all along. The doorway is already here. The threshold is already beneath your feet. And the life you desire begins the moment you decide to claim a new inner reality and remain faithful to it long enough for the world to reflect it back to you. Everything you experience in your life, both the things you deeply desire and the things you wish would finally disappear, is connected to the inner states you consistently live from. The cycles that continue repeating, the opportunities that seem distant, the relationships that unfold in familiar ways, all of it reflects the assumptions and emotional patterns you have carried within yourself over time. This realization can feel overwhelming at first, and it should, but hidden inside that truth is an extraordinary kind of freedom. Because if your current reality has been shaped by your inner world, even unconsciously, then it also means you are not trapped by it. Your past does not have authority over your future unless you continue recreating it internally. What you have lived until now is not a permanent sentence. It is simply the result of previous assumptions, previous beliefs, previous emotional states, and the beautiful thing about creation is that it can begin again at any moment. Most people think imagination is something small and insignificant, something disconnected from practical life. They treat it like entertainment for the mind or a temporary escape from reality. But imagination is far more powerful than that. Imagination is the creative space where every future experience first takes shape. It is the invisible workshop where your reality is formed long before it becomes visible in the physical world. When you close your eyes and mentally step into a scene that represents the life you desire, something profound begins happening. If you imagine it vividly enough, with enough emotional depth and sensory richness, the experience starts feeling less like a fantasy you are observing and more like a reality you are entering. In that moment, you are no longer simply wishing for a different future. You are occupying a new state of being. This is the true beginning of transformation. The version of you who already has what you desire already exists as a state of consciousness. The confident version of you exists. The loved version of you exists. The abundant version of you exists. The peaceful, fulfilled, successful version of you already exists internally before it ever appears externally. And the moment you genuinely step into that identity emotionally and mentally, you begin the process of becoming it physically. That is the part most people miss. Transformation is not created first through action. It begins through identity. The outer world changes after the inner state changes, not before. Once you fully accept a new assumption within yourself, life starts reorganizing around it naturally, not because you forced reality to obey you, but because reality always reflects the state you consistently embody. This is law. The external world mirrors the internal one with incredible precision. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning completely free from the fear and limitations that once defined you. Imagine truly feeling like someone for whom abundance is normal, not someone pretending to be wealthy or trying to convince themselves they deserve success, but someone who naturally expects prosperity because it already feels like part of their identity. Think about how differently you would move through the day. Your body would feel different. Your thoughts would feel calmer. Your decisions would come from certainty instead of fear. You would stop acting from desperation because the state of lack would no longer feel natural to you. You would speak differently, think differently, respond differently, and without even realizing it, You would begin attracting experiences that match that new inner frequency. This is not surface level positivity. It is not forcing yourself to repeat optimistic phrases while secretly feeling fear underneath. Positive thinking alone often fails because it only attempts to change the visible surface while leaving the deeper assumptions untouched. What truly transforms reality is a shift at the foundational level of consciousness, a genuine change in what feels natural and believable to you internally. When your inner identity changes, your outer world eventually has no choice but to follow. Neville Mind Secrets teaches this principle clearly. The key is not trying harder. The key is becoming inwardly aligned with the reality you desire before physical evidence appears. The moment the assumption settles deeply enough inside you, manifestation stops feeling uncertain. It becomes inevitable. This is why imagination matters so much. Imagination is not separate from reality. It is the birthplace of reality. Every invention, every achievement, every transformation first existed as an unseen inner experience before becoming visible in the world. The person you become internally determines the life you experience externally. So if you are tired of repeating old cycles, stop focusing only on changing circumstances. Change the version of yourself that keeps recreating those circumstances. If you are exhausted from feeling stuck, unloved, limited, or unseen, begin stepping mentally and emotionally into the version of yourself for whom those conditions no longer exist. Do not wait for the world to convince you first. The world reflects, it does not initiate. The inner state always comes before the outer evidence. The moment you begin consistently living from a new assumption, everything starts shifting. Opportunities appear differently. People respond differently. Your intuition sharpens. Your confidence deepens. Life begins mirroring the identity you now occupy. And once that inner shift becomes stable, the transformation is no longer a possibility. It becomes unavoidable. Good evening, my friends. Tonight, I want you to consider something quietly radical. Imagine that your life is not fixed, not predetermined, not trapped inside the circumstances you currently see around you. Imagine instead that your reality is far more fluid than you were ever taught to believe. Imagine that the life you long for, the relationships you desire, the freedom, peace, abundance, and fulfillment you keep reaching toward are not distant possibilities reserved for someone else, but states of consciousness waiting for you to step into them. Most people spend their lives reacting to appearances. They look at their circumstances and assume those circumstances are the truth. They believe the visible world is the source and their thoughts and emotions are merely reactions to it. But the deeper truth is the opposite. The outer world is not the cause. It is the reflection. It mirrors back the inner assumptions you consistently carry about yourself, your worth, your possibilities, and your future. This means that your current reality, whether joyful or painful, is not punishment, luck, fate, or coincidence. It is the visible expression of invisible patterns that have been operating within you, often without your awareness. And while this realization may feel confronting at first, it is also profoundly liberating, because if your inner state created your present experience, then a new inner state can create an entirely new future. The past is not a life sentence, it is only the result of previous assumptions, and assumptions can change. The true creative power within you is imagination. Not imagination in the childish sense of escaping reality, but imagination as the sacred faculty through which reality itself is formed. Every invention, every relationship, every transformation, every breakthrough in human history existed inwardly before it appeared outwardly. The invisible always precedes the visible. When you enter an imaginal scene and feel it as real, you are not fantasizing. You are moving into a new state of being. You are stepping into the identity of the version of yourself who already possesses the life you desire. And once that inner shift becomes natural, reality begins reorganizing itself to reflect it. This is where many people misunderstand manifestation. They believe the power lies in techniques, rituals, or repeated affirmations. But the true power has never been in the method. It has always been in the feeling. A person can visualize success while internally feeling inadequate. They can repeat affirmations about love while secretly feeling abandoned. And what manifests is never the words alone. It is the dominant emotional state beneath them. Reality responds to who you are being, not merely to what you say you want. That is why the feeling of fulfillment matters so deeply. You must learn to live from the state of already having rather than longing for it. There is a profound difference between hoping something will happen and internally accepting that it already belongs to you. The moment your desire feels natural within you, the process of manifestation has already begun. This does not mean pretending. It means embodying a deeper truth. It means becoming emotionally aligned with the version of yourself who is already loved, already secure, already abundant, already chosen. When you inhabit that state consistently, your actions change naturally. You no longer move through life with desperation or fear. Your behavior becomes calmer, more confident, more grounded because it flows from certainty instead of lack. Action taken from fear carries strain. Action taken from fulfillment carries power. And this is why persistence matters. Not forceful persistence, not exhausting effort, but faithful inner consistency. The outer world does not always shift immediately because reality reflects your dominant state over time, not passing emotional moments. Many people abandon the process because they do not see instant evidence. They plant a seed inwardly and then uproot it with doubt, impatience, and fear. But all creation begins invisibly. A seed beneath the soil does not appear dead simply because it has not yet broken through the surface. Something is happening underneath long before the visible evidence arrives. Your inner assumptions work the same way. Every time you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you strengthen the new reality. Every time you refuse to surrender to appearances, you deepen the impression upon the subconscious mind. The subconscious accepts what is repeatedly felt as true, and once accepted, it begins expressing that truth outwardly. This is why your inner conversations matter so much. The silent dialogue you carry within yourself every day is shaping your future constantly. The way you speak to yourself, the way you imagine others seeing you, the assumptions you hold about relationships, money, health, opportunity, success, and love, all of these become instructions given to reality itself. If you repeatedly identify with rejection, you continue experiencing rejection. If you consistently dwell in fear, you continue encountering circumstances that mirror fear. But if you begin assuming that life supports you, that love flows toward you naturally, that abundance belongs to you, that opportunities are always finding you, the outer world gradually rearranges itself to reflect those assumptions. This is not magic in the childish sense, it is law. The invisible creates the visible. Consciousness shapes experience. Your dominant state becomes your reality. And this understanding changes everything because it returns power to where it has always belonged, within you. You no longer need to wait for external validation before feeling worthy. You no longer need circumstances to improve before allowing yourself peace. You no longer need another person to choose you before you choose yourself. The shift begins internally first. The outer world follows afterward. The most powerful transformations happen quietly. They begin the moment you stop arguing for your limitations and start identifying with a greater possibility. The moment you stop asking whether you deserve happiness and begin accepting it as natural. The moment you stop chasing and start embodying. As you continue this practice, something remarkable happens. The old version of you slowly dissolves. The fearful version, the doubtful version, the version constantly searching for reassurance. And in its place emerges someone calmer, softer, stronger, more secure, more magnetic. Someone who no longer lives at the mercy of appearances because they understand appearances are temporary echoes of old states. You become internally anchored, and from that place, life begins responding differently. Opportunities arrive unexpectedly. Relationships soften and deepen. New pathways open. Synchronicities increase. People react to you differently because your energy, assumptions, and self-concept have changed. You are no longer broadcasting fear to the world. You are broadcasting certainty. The beautiful part is that this process does not require struggle. It requires alignment. It requires emotional honesty and gentle persistence. It asks you to trust the unseen long enough for it to become seen. So tonight, as you move towards sleep, I want you to remember this. You are not separate from the reality you desire. The life you long for already exists as a potential state within consciousness. Your task is not to force it into existence, but to align yourself with it inwardly until it feels natural. Close your eyes and step into the version of yourself who already has what you seek. Feel the relief, feel the gratitude, feel the peace of no longer searching. Let the scene become vivid and emotionally real, and then rest in it, not with strain, not with desperation, but with quiet certainty. Because reality always follows identity. You are not here to beg life for permission to be fulfilled. You are here to recognize your role as a creator, to understand that your imagination is sacred, your assumptions are powerful, and your inner world is shaping your outer experience every single day. The moment you truly accept this, everything begins to change. Not because the world suddenly becomes different overnight, but because you become different within it. And once you change inwardly, the outer world has no choice but to respond. In the end, this entire journey comes down to one simple but life-changing truth. Your inner world creates your outer reality. The life you desire is not something you must chase endlessly in the external world. It begins within you through imagination, feeling, belief, and the assumptions you consistently hold about yourself and your future. When you stop living from fear, doubt, and lack, and instead begin living from the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled, reality starts reshaping itself to match that inner state. The key is persistence, not forcing, not struggling, but gently returning again and again to the feeling of already being the person you wish to become. Your imagination is not fantasy. It is the creative power through which your future is formed. The more naturally you embody the state of love, abundance, confidence, peace, or success, the more effortlessly life reflects it back to you. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the creator of your experience. The moment you truly accept that, everything begins to change. So trust the process, remain faithful to your vision, and walk forward with quiet certainty, knowing that what you consistently assume and feel within must eventually appear in your outer world.